Sometimes you're not tired, you're frozen. Freeze in real life looks like this. Doom scrolling instead of creating. Waiting for permission to do something instead of stepping up and acting. Overthinking instead of actually speaking up. And the breaking point is not that soft either. It's loud, it's messy, it's chaotic. So remember, you're not weak. You're just frozen. And now is the time to thaw and step into your power. Hello, my beautiful warriors of love. My name is Sabrina, for everyone that's new here. The topic today is freeze. It's inspired by a song from Stray Kids that's called Freeze, and their song is all about the same what I'm actually going to be talking about. I'll be doing an analysis video of them later on, but for now, let's talk about freeze in this moment. And I also picked cards to further, discuss where we're all at. Freeze is that everybody's experienced freeze in their life, where you were in school, let's say, and the teacher is like, Sabrina, what is your feeling about blah blah blah, or what is the equation of this, and you freeze because there's nothing happening, or you're like, and how many times that has happened to me in school or in work or in interviews on TV where I'm just like, what? I have no idea what to say. And what does the human do is feel dumb, and the human retracts and feels like they're worthless, and they blame and they shame themselves because they weren't able to speak. But freeze, this what we're talking about here is this it's unfortunately we've regulated our systems to act in this mode because systems are put in place. Programs are put in place to not encourage the human to speak up, right? We speak behind screens and we don't really stand up for ourselves. And there's a lot of you that do, and amen, right? We all do at one point eventually. But there's still those moments where you do freeze. And then the thing is that people will equate that with weakness. And I'm going through something in my life that is that refers to weakness as well, or relates to weakness, because weakness was always something I saw as bad, right? And that freeze moment, if I as a human is seeing freeze as weakness as bad, then I will freeze, right? It's like whatever it is, that emotion that you're attached to, that you see as a failure, that you see as a weakness, that you see as a vulnerable, that you see as a bad or negative, that you see as shameful or guilty or whatever that is you feel, then you tend to move into this state. I always like to look at the iceberg. The iceberg, you see 10% of the iceberg when you see it, no matter how massive or small it is, because the 90% is all underneath the water, right? It's all the emotions that we have are like hidden, buried underneath there. And the obstacle is really down there, and it's not up what we see. So the freezing point is that okay, but then we just need to thaw that other part, which is what? Which is us like facing the iceberg. And like I keep saying, but really loving that freezing point, even if it's uncomfortable, because the freezing point for me is the everyday life. Let's say you're every day, you're eating, you're drinking, you're walking, you're working, you're texting, you're studying, you're partying, you're doing whatever you want. You're exercising, you're just doing life. That's what we're doing. We're living life. But there's something missing, right? It's just the humdrum of life, the routine of life. There's something that's frozen, right? And a lot of people who stop, like, going out and partying and doing things, they start to feel like, they're not doing any, they're not following the dreams, they're not following the to-do list, they're not following their goals, and they start to feel lazy. But it's not, it's you're frozen. You're frozen because you're regulating yourself, right? You're frozen because you're trying to live a life for someone else, for the system that was created, for your parents that have like already ideas of how you should live your life, for the school systems that say this is how you need to, you need these skills because you're only good if you have these skills, and you're only good if you get 90s and above, and you're only, and it's like it's a program, so everyone that's in school that's getting like 60s and 50s, they're failures, and those people will probably freeze more in life. Because then they're like always like seesawing always, because they're always stepping forward, stepping back. And it's not only these people, even the overachievers, because it's at one point you become like, okay, and then what? Right? So it's like freeze is like over control, overthinking, over observing. It's waiting for other people to tell you what to do. It's following rules, it's behaving, because that's how you should be respectful in public. That's freezing, because you're not really being you. And I think this card showed up this week, but I was like, oh my God, this is so pertinent, because as the world is collapsing out there, why is the world collapsing out there? It's because the human has never been truly themselves. Like, how many times do you filter yourself when you are speaking in a conversation or in a relationship? And because I don't want to upset them, because if I say something different from the whole group, they're going to think I am whack, or they're going to think I'm a thisist or racist or this, whatever I am, or I'm like, you can't express yourself anymore these days because everything is taken so personally. But again, if someone takes it personal, to me, it's always the mirror, right? If you're taking it personally, this is something that you're dealing with. It's not mine. It's your reflection, right? And again, but we freeze at that moment, because then we're like, oh, I don't know. I don't have enough fingers and toes to tell you how many times I've frozen, because I've never had the same train of thought as a lot of people in my life. I've never seen life the same as others, and I would freeze. I would hold back, because I didn't want to ruin the friendship, because I didn't want to ruin my partnership, because I didn't want to be seen as bad in my family. I didn't want, there was so many of this, and then these are the people who rebel, and then we freeze then again too, right? So I find this card very interesting for this time, because so many more people are speaking up. But as I have entered again into social media, because I've entered into social media again, and I see the comments, and I see people repeating always the same comments throughout, and it's almost like this is the way we like, I'm going to just bring up something. Like, everybody talks about AI. AI is the devil. AI is this. And then you see the repetition of comments throughout, in all different forms and all different platforms. And it's like, they're comfortable in the fact that AI is the enemy, right? So that it makes them happy, and people like them and follow them and whatever, and they share and they like, and it creates a community on fear. Right? Think about it. So I'm always like, oh my God, it's that moment where, that freeze moment where you don't follow the norm because of likes and whatever. And it's that freeze moment where you thaw yourself and you say, okay, well, it's not that you have to share your opinion on social media either, but I'm making that as an example. It's just like, I feel like people still work in these kinds of cliques and groups. And this is what's dismantling. This is the frozen part of humanity, where we're just like following everyone else so we could still stay tightly knit in this group that is safe and comfortable. And the moment you thaw is the moment that you're exposed, and then the moment that people see your true self. And so many of us are hiding that true self of ours because of scrutiny, because of criticism, which will occur 1,000%, because of resistance and blockage and whatever. People will just like they'll start ignoring you, or they'll start. But that's your sign, right? To me, it's like, thaw away, people, because that's your confirmation that this is not the group that you're supposed to be in. This is not the people you want to be hanging around with. I don't want to be hanging around people who are continuously criticizing me or judging me for being who I am. Right? To me, freeze is not dramatic. It's cold. It feels like an air energy, right? It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It's that suppressed anger. It's those suppressed words. It's the suppressed actions. It's that resistance, not resistance, that's suppression, really, of every part of you that makes you who you are, and yet you've never been able to express it because for fear of being shut out, for fear of being put down, for fear of not fitting in, for fear of right? It's the people pleasing, it's the expectations, it's the pressure, it's the pressure that we put on ourselves and the others put on ourselves as well. It's all of it. It's like, it's the self-monitoring. Like you're always like, should I, and that's the freeze moment for me. I remember freeze from the age of freaking 6 years old or 5 years old, where you're like, it's like, imagine living in a society where whatever, you just were able to express yourself freely without being like shut down or judged by one person or by a group of people. That's what happens. So freeze becomes this like very uncomfortable place for many, and hence the iceberg, where 90% of the iceberg is here, and that's us. We just bury, just keep it, we become this big iceberg. And I can't even, I speak from experience here. When my mom died, I was 17 years old. I went into therapy. I did one therapy session. I literally was an iceberg. I had no feeling. I had nothing. I was frozen. And I just told her what she needed to hear. So at 17 years old, I was lit enough to be able to say that. I was like, I'm just going to give it to her, whatever she wants to hear. Oh, yes. Oh, you're grieving. Oh, yes. Okay. And I never went back. Because to me, I was like, I'm going to go to this session, and I know that I have regulated myself throughout my whole life, and now I'm going to be presented. I'm never going to be able to express myself freely. And I still have, and I'm only now being able to express myself fully, freely, because of this iceberg that I've carried with myself from 12 years old and on, let's say, when she got sick, and until now. And it's like, as it thaws, it becomes very uncomfortable. And that's what I've been living. And if everyone here is following me, then you know that I've been living a very chaotic, which is why Divine Chaos is here, and uncomfortable part of my life. But it's been necessary, because it was here. I've been frozen too long. I've been following someone else's rules or someone else's ideology of life. And every time I rebelled against it, I was quickly shut down. You know, that's why 2020 to me was such an important, part of evolution that happened in humanity, because when I fought back and when I expressed myself, I did find a community that shared that same suppression that I was experiencing, right? And you know, we are like that. The icebergs, you know, I'm always going to continue because I think that's just beautiful with this freeze, because the iceberg stands alone in the water, but it really doesn't, right? It has usually a lot, and it has the water as like its companion as well, if you think about it, and has penguins who come onto the thing, and it's never really alone. And a lot of this, when you're frozen, you tend to retreat and you tend to be alone with yourself, because you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with myself. But the thawing requires community. It requires support. It requires people around us to encourage us and to not necessarily align with us, but not necessarily agree with us. And that's fine. But also, it's just, anyways, it's really powerful, this word. I'm like, wow, I'm going into this. And it's like, I feel like for most of us, freeze lies in the throat, you know, in the shoulders, you know, in the feet, in the legs, right? It's like this, we can't speak, we can't walk, we can't do. I mean, I can't express to you how many times I've been frozen. And even now, even today, when I'm as I walk through the discomfort, there's a lot of moments where I find myself, you know. And so, and I do thaw, like I said at the beginning, it does get really messy, because it's you coming out, right? You're coming out of the iceberg, right? And you're like, oh, and everyone having to adjust, but it's not only you, it's like everyone else coming out at the same time, kind of thing, and like melting. And it's like when you move through the spirituality realm, everything is very soft and gentle, and it's not. Like, melting is not soft to me. Melting is loud, right? It is, because it's like you're uncovering, you're unlayering all that hurt that I've kept inside since I'm like a child, or since maybe even past lifetimes. Who knows? But it's not for me to either like attach to them. It's just to allow it to show up. And a lot of people always ask me, you know, when you're in the thawing stage, it's like, what do you do with it? I said, you just be with it. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to write. You know, you don't have to journal. You don't have to, you know, it's just allow it and like give it its space to melt. And in that sense, it's just allow it to be. And there's not, like, you know, it's like it's hard to explain it, because I don't even know. I can't even explain it to you. So I'm just being. And if tears come up, then I cry. And if anger comes up, then I anger, right? I like feel it. And I just let it go. And I got to tell you that my thawing stage has been like this. And you know, I have support with a few friends, and I have like unseen support as well. But as we move through this, is to not judge yourself, you know, like really, like it's only today, while I was writing out the script of this and thinking about it, I thought about the iceberg. But that's like a really good imagery to have when you're going through this, is an iceberg. Like, think of yourself as an iceberg, you know, and you want to care for this iceberg. It's beautiful, it's majestic, but that majestic part is that facade part, you know, that everybody sees. Oh yeah, she's so put together, she's so strong, she's such a survivor, you know, he's so amazing, he's so fun, he's so dramatic, he's so outgoing. And down deep inside is you're crying, and you're like, you know, or you're hiding. And there's nothing wrong with being quiet you know, and there's nothing wrong with being dramatic either, by the way. It's just like, it's like who knows, maybe you are a dramatic fairy, you know, so who cares? You know, like, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying that there's that hidden, buried part of us that is needs to melt, and it will be chaotic. So I actually pulled cards. I think I told you that at the beginning, and I want to show you. Let me see if I could do it like this. The overall energy was which I picked earlier, was the Magician in Instagram and Facebook. And the Magician is kind of, this is the wands, is having the wand, the magic wand, and having all the tools in front of him. It's the idea of, like, he has the wand to thaw, so that, I mean, I almost feel like the Magician is more like the outcome of this thawing. Realizing, wow, I have the tool in my hand where I can, you know, create, where I can speak up, you know, which is that. Create is the wands energy. Swords is the speaking up energy. The cups energy is I can feel again. And then the pentacles energy is I can start actually allowing money to flow in again, because I'm not so frozen in the idea that I can't make money because I don't have a master's degree, or I don't have you know, the skills that is needed, or, you know, like, it's those limitations that keep us frozen. And the Magician is like, yo, you've had the power all along. Stop playing small. Like, seriously. You know, this, and like again, I bring up the iceberg. Like, that 10% is all of that bullshit. It's all the diplomas, the certificates, it's all the whatever BS, you know, that we have to live in this life with. The families, the like this, all of it's not the BS, but it's like it's all that. It's just the basics of human experience. And all the below is all the tools waiting for us to say, okay, let's go. I kind of like it. I freaking love it. Okay. So let's do this. I pulled out 9 cards. I did a full-on reading. This could be a long video, but let's just do it quickly. The first card that we should show up is the 5 of Swords, which is defeat. Which is that. Is exactly the energy. I knew it felt thick. This energy of overthinking, vengeance, you know, like this feeling of resentment, of guilt, of like, you know, this pressure being put onto us by society, this pressure of being something greater than we are, these expectations. The 5 of Swords is like this rivalry that you've created with yourself. You know, in this freezing point. It's freaking awesome. Okay. The next card is the 4 of Swords in reverse. Yeah, the 4 of Swords is quiet, calm, relaxed, not, right? It's right before the 5 of Swords. So that's kind of interesting that that's showing up. I like that it's like here. She's hanging from the, you know, she's obviously grounded here. But the fact that this is like, in any moment, she could lose herself, right? In any moment, as she's thawing, she's going to move through something really chaotic. She's going to fall from the sky, right? That's what it feels like. It's like, it feels like a collapse. It feels like it's the end of the world when something doesn't go our way, or doesn't like feel comfortable anymore. You don't feel that safe space anymore. Wow. I love that the Swords energy is showing up here, though. I love it. Swords, I related this to swords, right? Because it's like water, frozen, air. And then the Hangman shows up, which is a period of the thawing period. Oh, interesting. Right? We go through all this, like, oh my God, going up against, like, the programs, going against parents, going up against, you know, other people's opinions, other people's ideas, trying to people please, trying to, like, you know, always are walking on eggshells. This is like not a life to live, people. Like, and suppressing everything that you want to say. because you're always worried about someone else. You're always worried about how they're gonna like judge you, or how are they gonna see you now. Wow. Okay, I'll just pull out the star card. It's really interesting because the 5 and the 4 of swords are Aquarius. Aquarius says that quiet rebel, right? It's not a loud rebel. It's a very poignant rebel. The king and the queen of swords, they're very clear, cut, precise, sharp rebels in the sense that they get shit done without everybody going, oh, look, it's the king of swords that did this. And the stars, that kind of energy is like you stepping into this this flow state, air flow state. And I like that the water is here. This is water as well, because it's a regulation of that too. And I love that, the star showed up, because you can't see the star without the darkness, right? Like, we all know this. So it's frozen in time until it starts to thaw. We start to see the brightness and the shining of the light. And that's you, right? You are the star on this earth. And then the king of swords, look at that. He shows up, another Aquarius. And it's like, okay, now the flow state is here. The thaw process has begun. I'm going to start to express myself. Like, I'm done playing like small again, right? And a lot of people get interesting. A lot of people get a little bit triggered when I say this. And not a lot of people, some people. I stop playing small, be the big. Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to play big. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and with a megaphone and express yourself to the world. That's not what it means. It means being true to yourself. Stepping into your power doesn't mean that I'm going to lead a group into rebellion. It doesn't mean that. That's the old way of thinking. Stepping into your power is becoming true to yourself. Is showing your iceberg in full, and exposing yourself, exposing your vulnerability, exposing it all to your strength and your weaknesses, and being okay with it. Sorry. Like the king of swords doesn't give a flying F about what anyone thinks about him. He's special. The queen of swords is special as well. They don't care. The knight of swords doesn't care either, right? They don't really care, because their forte is communication and expression, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Do we find it interesting that Sabrina's throat is acting up right now? I'm thawing. Hilarious. The next card is the Chariot, which is movement, right? It's like here. I can show you the cards if you want to see them. The 5 of Swords, the 4 of Swords, and the Hangman. Here we are in this process of overthinking and this overstimulation and over-regulating and over everything. Over-complicating life, over-achieving, over everything. Over trying to figure out, trying to appease everybody else, to make something of yourself, so you could be on the Forbes 100 list, or to make something of yourself so that social media can follow you and admire you and love you. And so it's like this is the BS of the world, right? And meanwhile, that's the top half of the iceberg. Right? So I like that. And the Chariot showing up with the star coming in after, right? Is that this part of you is wanting to melt down and show the real you, because you are the star. And the King of Swords, okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to step into my power again. This is like, I'm going to just be comfortable with who I am and express myself. So what does that mean, right? So this is the juxtaposition that we're going to talk about here, because everyone thinks that you have to go out there to show that people who you are and how strong you are and how amazing and how famous, but everything is energy, right? So you don't have to do anything if you are calm and confident and clear and facing these mirrors and allowing this to come up, your quiet energy is going to trickle out into the universe, into the megaverse, into the galaxies, into whatever, into the earth. That's enough. So all the blah blah that we see is just, and it's, the blah blah tends to be laced with fear frequencies and low frequencies. And that goes out. Everything is energy, so it goes out as well. To me, it's like this card is like very important, because we're in the process, so many of us are frozen in our identities, in our status, in the hierarchies, and all of that. We're frozen in it because that's what we think is how we have to move ahead in life, when everything is you already. And the Chariot and the King of Swords is like, yes, like it's time for you to expose yourself. Again, this is not to be triggering in the sense that you have to expose yourself to millions, thousands, one. You don't have to expose it to anybody. It's all you work. This is you. Like the iceberg that stands alone in the freaking waters. It's supported, but it's still standing alone, and it's doing its work alone. And its work that it's doing is helping the ecosystem. And you're doing the same thing. Okay, Sabrina. I love it. This is a really great reading, actually. And the next card is the Devil. I love it. This is perfect timing for the Devil to show up. Because here we are exposing ourselves. Here we are like thawing and deregulating ourselves and not following the rules and not abiding by systems that have been set in place to keep us small. And the devil is here to help you, to break the chains, right? I mean, the devil will show in the Devil card. He chains everybody up. He imprisons the lovers in the card, right? But in the Devil, for me right now, is that card that we need to embody. Is that even if I am chained up, I can still break myself free. Because if you notice, I wish I had the Devil card with me, but the original Devil, he's towering over, and then there's the lovers from the Lovers card, and they have shackles around their necks, but the shackles are not tight, they're loose. The Devil has given you, he hasn't really imprisoned you. It's fake, it's a lie. It's because you believe in the lie, right? You believe that you need to follow this, and you believe that the laws are in place to protect the humanity, and everything is done in place, like, and then but those shackles are just, you just take it off and you just become who you are, right? And that's beautiful. I love the Devil showing up here. Because as you thaw, you become more you. The frozen state that you were in is because the Devil pretended, told you, oh, this is the way it is, and this is how it's supposed to be. And you said, okay then, I'm not going to, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a happy life because this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm not saying this wrong with marriage, but I'm just saying or I'm going to, do my master's degree and I'm going to study here and I'm going to follow the rules of the law of the world. Which is nothing wrong with those things either. I'm not judging that either. I'm just saying that some of us and, most of us have felt trapped like this. And the Devil was like, yo, I'm not trapping you. You're trapping yourself. And he was there to show you. The prison door is open. But you want to stay in the prison cell, right? Because it's comfortable, and again, it's a safe space. And everyone else is doing it. So if you open the prison cell and you go walk and you're the only person, then they're all looking at you like, oh my God, right? What are you doing? What's going to happen to her? How's it? But a lot of what humanity does is they say, okay, go, you, we need a scapegoat. Let's go, you go do it. Right? And you get the consequence, which is fine. But this has been our whole life. It's been like this. So I love it. The devil is very one of the most important cards here, because he's just your shadow self. He's your mirror. He's that part of you that he's definitely not the frozen part of you, right? He's the part of you that when you thaw and you become yourself, you embody the devil and the angel, the shadow and the light, right? The dark and the light. They coexist. They can't live alone on without each other. They coexist. The devil coexists with the angel. These are just like stories that we hear, right? If you believe that there's actually a devil and you actually believe there's an angel, these are just storylines in the end. They were just here to help us, see the polarity of the world. So for me, I've loved the devil now. For me, it feels like and not the devil that is shown in the fake world of domination and shit. The devil as my shadow self that survived in this world, that lived in that prison cell even when the door was open. That girl that lived there, knowing that the door was open, right? But she forced herself to live that way because she believed in others that were more powerful than her. It's all the whole thing. And it's like when you really face the devil, you're like, oh, he's like, yo, it's just you, right? In the end, you make your choices. You've made the choices to live the way you want to live. And if you lived living in a prison cell your whole life and you felt comfortable in it, who am I to judge that, right? I mean, we've all done it. And I know a lot of people right now, I have, people that I talk to even now that say, I'm comfortable living in the prison cell. I'm like, okay. For me, it's mind-boggling because that's just who I am. But at the end of the day, I love these people, so I'm just going to say okay to that, right? And again, it's their life choice. They volunteer on this earth to do this, so this is their choice. And the next card that shows up is the Eight of Swords, which is kind of interesting energy because this is that energy. She's a marionette, right? She's a marionette. This is that energy that I talked about at the very beginning, which is I'm going to doom scroll, waste my life doom scroll instead of actually creating whatever I want to do. I'm going to overthink my whole life instead of actually speaking up to my parent, to my boss, to my this. I'm just going to overthink. I'm going to create scenarios in my head. And I'm going to waste hours of my day doing this, by the way, instead of actually being proactive and doing, right? That's the Eight of Swords. It's like you're facing your mirror and you're uncomfortable with the mirror and you're like, oh, but it's easier to be follow. And when I say that, I don't want to sound like I'm an anarchist or it's not that. It's not about that at all. And I say this to you because I had a conversation with someone recently about this. And it's more about just the freedom to be. And we don't have this freedom to be in this world. It's very rare to find people. And even me, I'm working my way to that, and it's like this taking off of the strings, of these puppet strings. Who are we following exactly? When you come into the realizations of this, that's why the devil is so important in this moment. It's like to realize, oh my God, we've just been playing ourselves in this frozen state of being. And the last card is the Two of Swords, not even a freaking final card. But it's peace. I like this. Look at this card. She's at a crossroads in her life. And the card states peace. The Two of Swords is another swords energy. Swords energy. Oh my God, it's all swords energy. It's so crazy. All right. The Two of Swords is she's at this crossroads. She's blindfolded and now she has to make a decision. Do I stay frozen or do I I go through the process of thawing. Because if I stay frozen, then I'm safe in my comfortable prison. Or whatever it is that you want, in my comfortable home, and whatever that means to you. And I follow the rules, I behave, I everything is working in order. Or do I choose to thaw, melt that 90% of the ice underneath me, and become someone that I don't even know who it is, because it's going to become a version of me that I have no idea. It's the unknown, which the magician says, yes, go for the unknown, right? So it's a state of being. Do you choose to be frozen, or you choose to be thawed? Can you? We're going to acknowledge the frozen state part of you, and we're gonna. I always will acknowledge my frozen state. Yes, I was this. I people please. Yes, I like. I thought weakness was the worst thing in the world, and I acted accordingly, which made me a very numb human, right? It made me feel very separate from my true self, if you really think about it. But this is a part of this journey, and freeze is showing up, and it's just like helping us to move through this and just see, just to see yourself in these different states of being, and love and love all of these states of being as well. I'm going to be doing another video about loving the ego, because I realize that the ego has been the enemy for everyone, and it's just BS. It's so BS. So, like, loving yourself through the freeze, the thaw, the melting, the whatever state of being, because there's no, it's just, to me, it's the becoming of you. And you're the magician here who has had the tools, his and her whole life. It's been present there, and we've chosen to live in this frozen state of being. And I really do believe the thaw is here. So, I don't know if any of you here are from conspiracy theory days, but I remember the Ice Age theory, that in who told me this? In 2027 or 2030, the whole Earth is going to turn into ice. And I said, at that time I was like, oh, I believed it. But then I thought of Ice Age the movie. And then I was like, oh, that would be fun to be living with these characters. But again, it's just a storyline, right? And then if I think about it now, that person who was believing in the Ice Age coming, and also if everything's a mirror, that means, that makes a lot of sense actually right now. I'm having a conversation with myself with you. Because if everything is a mirror, like I do believe humanity mirrors Earth 100,000%. Everything that's happening in the Earth right now, wars, flooding, turmoil, is because it's the mirror of humans. So if the Ice Age is because we're all frozen. Yeah, so we're on a mission to thaw. Let's thaw, people. Thaw! Think of Thor and think of thaw. Think of whatever you want to think of. All right, my beautifuls. This is where I leave you. This was interesting. I will come out once in a while with words. And it's the tarot with Let's Talk combined. And I love it. So this is interesting. I will see you when I see you. Check out my zodiac signs. Check out my zodiac notebooks on Amazon. They're fun and sassy like me. I don't know what else I'm doing. I'm doing so many things. Join me on Instagram, and like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you. Love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.